Let's go through the process of creating the Cloud Connection and Cloud Environment using snctl. This is one of 3 ways to make the Cloud Connection and Cloud Environment. The other 2 ways are to use Terraform or to use the StreamNative UI. Prior to using snctl to create the Cloud Connection and Cloud Environment, you will have had to run the Terraform access module, which gives StreamNative permissions into your cloud provider to then deploy resources. I'm not going to go through the directions of installing snctl in this video. I've included a link in the description on how to download and install snctl. For example, using a Mac, that would be with Brew. And then you need to connect to your server with what's easiest is an OAuth 2 JSON file. Instead, I'm just going to start out here in showing you the snctl command that you use to create the cloud connection. This establishes a connection between StreamNative and your cloud provider, so it links your org to your cloud provider. Here I'm going to use snctl create cloud connection. The name I'm using for my cloud connection is shared AWS. The type is I'm connecting to the AWS cloud provider. This is my AWS account ID. And then I include the namespace flag here, which is my org in StreamNative. If I hit enter here, that's going to start the process of creating that cloud connection. I can go over to the UI, and if I navigate to the cloud environments here in the upper right, I can go to cloud connections, and you'll see that my shared AWS cloud connection now shows that it is connected. Next, in snctl, I'm going to use the create cloud environment command. Here I don't provide any name for the cloud environment. It will be auto-generated by StreamNative. And I use a cloud connection name flag and specify which connection I would like to use. Here I'm going to use the shared AWS cloud connection that I just created. I'm going to be deploying into the US East 1 region. Here's my network-cidr. This is my org in StreamNative, and I'm going to use an environment type called test. This flag will get used in the name of the cloud environment that is auto-generated by StreamNative. For both the cloud connection and the cloud environment, I've included a link in the description to each of them, which would give you a complete list of all of the available flags. I'm going to go ahead and click enter on this. It says the cloud environment is created. It returned the name of the cloud environment that it created. This actually just kicked off or started the process of creating the cloud environment. The cloud environment will create things like the VPC, the subnets, the EKS cluster if you're using AWS, as well as the node group. It will deploy some things into the EKS cluster like the StreamNative operators and some monitoring tools, but what it's not going to do yet is deploy a Pulsar cluster. We will talk about that in a separate video. If I go back to the UI, here on my Cloud Environments tab, I can find that cluster that was listed in the return of the command. If I click on it here, it will go into some more details like deploying DNS and buckets. That's the current step it's on. If I hit go back, I'll get back to this screen. You can see the cloud connection shows that it's using the shared AWS cloud connection, the region that we're in, as well as the status is creating. If I take a closer look and hover over creating, it's going to show that it's deploying DNS and buckets. And this will continue to update on what step it's on as the deployment process continues. This will again take somewhere between 40 and 50 minutes before it gets through the entire process. Once this says ready, that's when you can go on to the creation of your Pulsar cluster inside of your cloud environment. Again, I encourage you to look at the documentation for all available flags. For instance, there is also a flag here for zone. You can enable your cloud environment to be zonal, to only be in one zone of the region. This will obviously affect availability, but this may also decrease cost. Once the creation of our cloud environment is complete, it should show as ready in the UI. It's now ready to deploy a Pulsar cluster into this cloud environment.